Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. I hope you're all having an amazing day. We're starting off with the black pieces against an 1891 from Germany. What do we have in store? We have an English. Now, English is one of my least favourite openings. And I actually, when I first started chess, I sort of played the English myself as white. We have two options, basically. There is lots of options. I personally have two in my repertoire. We have knight f6, and we have this little move a6. I say we go for knight f6. A6 is very, very interesting, and I'll show you after. It's a little gambit called the ABC gambit. You don't have to play it like a gambit. A6 is just a decent move as well. But it can get a bit gambity. Indeed. There are tons of other lines against the English. You can play the reverse Sicilian. You can play d6 usually goes into some knight f6 lines. You can play the Dutch-ish against the English, similar to the Dutch. They usually end up playing d4 anyway. You can play e6 going into the Agincourt defense, and it's really funny why it's called the Agincourt defense, because it's the English versus the French, which comes from the Battle of Agincourt, which is really, really cool, to be fair. But anyway, we're going to try play this King's Indian-esque style, depending on what they do in the center here. If not, I'll play this c6 line, which I don't think is technically really anything. But I like it. It gives a lot of flexibility for black. So we have a d5 here. Now, I don't know if e5 straight away works or not. They have nothing to hit it with a knight f3. So I think we probably can get away with e5 straight away. I think we probably can. And then we're likely to play a c6 if they take as well. So we'll go ahead with e5 and try take this into some more familiar territory, which is always like a good idea, I think. If you're playing an opening you're not particularly familiar with, try bring it into something you do know. Bishop e3 is a very, very, very strange move. The bishop's not happy there at all. It's hitting 2 pawns, I guess, and it's staying on the same diagonal here, which is doing practically nothing. So I'm not sure what they were thinking with this one. I think a knight c6 here is just good. We'll take the pawn with the knight then. Play, probably not even a c6 at that point. We'll probably just play with like a rook e8 or something. Rook e8 also could work as well, but I think knight c6 is just fine. And if they push, we're happy going into knight e7. With a more standard, I say standard, this is not standard at all, but it's potential to sort of go into a more typical King's Indian setup with the d4, c4. The question is what they do with their e-pawn. And to be honest, I don't know what they're doing with that, especially with a bishop e3. So it can make things a bit awkward, potentially. Knight f4, so they're adding another sort of attacker onto this, looking to trade off a bit more. And h3 as well. I don't think I mentioned that quite enough when it was played. Very interesting move. You're stopping any bishop sort of play. And you're defending it with the bishop, which means eventually it could be quite hard to actually hit this pawn. You would have to put in a bit of work in order to do that. So it's quite an interesting move, and it's been played against me in some classical games. I think here the play could be rook e8, either that or takes. If takes, bishop takes, knight takes is probably the way to go. Get rid of their dark squared bishop. I would really like to get rid of their light squared bishop, but I don't think we can realistically do much about that. After takes as well, we can get the bishop to e6 and hit this c pawn as well. So I think probably takes here is fine. If knight takes, probably a bishop d7. I don't want to give them too much stuff in the center. So we'll go bishop d7. We'll look to probably keep the bishops on the board. I doubt they would want to trade off their light squared bishop, so maybe even takes with bishop could be okay. And this little L shape here after takes is perfectly solid. You know, it looks like you're doubling your pawns, but actually it's sort of supporting the center quite a strong amount. So I'm definitely not too upset with that. They castle, and I think now is the time for rook e8. I would even consider sacking the rook for that bishop. It's not often you get to do that. So it's definitely a tempting move to make. I think pawn takes is ooh, we've got decisions here. Bishop takes or pawn takes. If we take with the pawn, we're straight away lining up this, but then a king h2 sort of stops everything. Maybe then opening up the bishop isn't a bad idea, especially after like a knight h5, although that's not really doing anything for us. If we take with the bishop, we're looking to trade off the bishops, basically. Which could... I don't know. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, basically. Let's take with the bishop. Get some more room for our queen, at least. And I really do want to trade off. They go knight there. I don't think that's a good move. I'm not going to take this with either. In fact, I could take with knight, because that's opening up the bishop for this pawn here. And if they take with the bishop, they're going to take back with the queen. Our b pawn's a bit weak, but like a c6. Queen has to go somewhere, and then you play d5, takes, and we're left with potentially an isolated pawn, which would be interesting. Knight e4 is a potential move. Maybe just back to d7 then. We keep our pawn structure. No, I think we've got to take it. I think we've got to take it. We've got this c pawn to potentially worry about now. So I think just a bishop d7. Do we want a bishop d7? Yeah, I think bishop b5 here. Hitting this pawn, it means they're going to struggle to move this bishop. And this is still hanging. So I think c6 here would be fine. Takes, bishop takes, bishop takes, bishop takes, pawn takes. And then we're left with these two pawns, so it's not going to be isolated. That's interesting. I think... See, that I don't like. That's potentially a weak pawn, which we could hit in the long run. So I think we go back to a6 here. No, we go back to d7, and we just keep the threat on this pawn. We've got to really speed up here. Yeah, c6. We'll take, and we'll get these pawns in the center. We get the rooks all on these central free files here. The rook, the queen, the other rook, and then we play with this good dark square bishop. I think that is interesting. Not going to give us our pawns, our together pawns, fix our pawn structure for us. Yeah. We want to keep the pieces on the board, really. We do. Oh, we got to move. We really do got to move. Move this rook up. Move this rook up. Bishop there. We just push f6. We're fine. There. I think we take. Then maybe break with a6. If they push, I'm happy. And then probably takes with rook, going after this a pawn, because they struggle to defend it with this really strong dark squared bishop. So maybe like a bishop d4 from them. Or bishop there. Bishop there. We could potentially go bishop e5 here. Go into a rook endgame. Is interesting. I like this rook on the 7th. Covers any of their rooks infiltrating, and it gives us easy access to double up on this e-pawn. Yeah. Potentially. I'm not hating. It looks a bit drawish. It does look a bit drawish. We got to really speed up. It's a nice endgame for us. The opening and all that wasn't as nice. So I'm relatively happy with this. Here, I think f5 could be a move. No. They're looking to push that. Where are you going? Where are you going? Push the pawn, maybe? We've really got to speed up. I'm sorry if I go quiet here, folks, but I've got to concentrate because I want this win. I really do want this win. They're going to double up. Then we just push again. We drop back to f6 if they pull like an f4 out. Or we could throw in a check first. They go there. Let's just break. It's a very similar endgame. All the rooks are staying on. The queens. We could trade off the queens here. No, we probably want to trade. Keep the queens on, I reckon. We've got checks ideas. Yeah, I think we do that. G5 is an idea. What are they going to do? Takes is always a possibility we've got to watch out for, but I think rook takes is okay. We've got to watch out for back rank mates, though. We do have to watch out for back rank mates. Go in there. We'll throw in the check. Why not? Looking for g5, potentially trapping the bishop. We'll go rook d7. That looks dodgy. Throw in check. Winning the pawn. We have rook there as well. Is really nice. Potentially even mating. That's going to be hard to stop. Really hard to stop. Yes. Sacks the bishop as well, which is beautiful. I don't know how you stop that, to be honest. I don't think you can. Other than trading off the queen and playing on time. We've got to be really efficient if they do that, though. Really efficient. We can't be affording to mess about. We just go after these pawns and promote. There, probably. Got to watch out for the back ranks. We'll get the bishop back to g7. We're threatening this rook as well. Pawn takes is the answer. Okay, they're just playing us on time, which is fine. You know, I'm confident in this. I'm confident in my ability. Keep hitting their pieces. Okay, I think we're good here. We're just not blundering. That's the plan. Just not blundering. Oh, okay. We're just promoting this pawn, I think. Sack the queen, maybe. Probably not. Not in this position, at least. Where are you moving your rooks? Okay, they're playing on time. We're good here. Woo! That was quick. That was good. That was very, very good. I like that a lot. Wow. Lovely little mate in there. Beautiful. Oh, that was good. That was very good. I need a second after that, folks. It always gets my heart racing. Always gets my heart racing. And we did that with so much time to spare as well. We did not need to rush that much. Oh, I love it. I love to see it. Really, really do. We got a brilliancy. That was probably the bishop sack. Threatening mate, winning the queen. 86.3 versus a 76.4. 2250 versus a 1750. And I will warn you as well, this opening's not going to be good. It's not going to be the right opening. There will be okay moves. It will not be book. So we're out of book here. This is the last book move. And it's just a King's Indian setup. They play H3. Now, I said H3 is a decent move. And I meant it. It makes things very hard to sort of prod. You've got limited knight squares. And it just makes things a bit awkward for a King's Indian setup. But we just play it solid. We break on E4. I would love to trade off queens. If you're in doubt, do try to open up the center, because a queen trade, while it looks like you're giving up your most attacking piece, you're also making your opponent give up theirs, which makes it a bit more safe. And sometimes I feel a bit reluctant to do that. So I'm trying to make an effort to actually realize when it might be a good idea to get rid of your opponent's most attacking piece. So we go knight c3, looking for push with like a usual King's Indian setup. They delay it. We finally trade bishop d7. And we're fine with these trades. I don't know if bishop takes is probably best, but just as an example, this little pawn structure here, really not as bad as it seems with the double pawns. And it's similar to yesterday's episode, slightly different. Yesterday's episode was a bit more of a fringe case where we had double isolated pawns that actually turned out to be okay. This pawn structure, and it's common in the Scotch, especially the Schmidt line with knight f6. Very common after like a knight takes, and it's really not that bad because you're covering a lot of the center, and you're backing up your pawns. And if you push, you're still backing up that push as well. So it's really quite a nice pawn structure, to be fair. Get the rooks in, get this trade. They don't wanna, which is fair enough. Still fine. And takes with the pawn is actually a really good move. I thought Takes with the bishop would benefit us, especially after like a rook e5, kicking the queen away. No, apparently not. We just leave it here. Oh, and then you go after these weak pawns. Okay, makes sense. So getting this pawn in the center, it definitely is the better move. It's actually quite annoying because I'm potentially left with this backwards c pawn. So I've got to make an effort to push c6 or c5, which is easier said than done, really. So we go back, and it actually does like this this trade here in this situation, which is wild because you're hanging your bishop as well. I really want to see this. F takes, and then you drop your bishop back, and then you claim that these are a hindrance for them. Double isolated backwards pawns as well. I don't think I've ever seen that. And then you just play these, and this is about equal. This is plus 0.2. So wow. We did say it. We played c3 because we felt we had to. Apparently bishop f5 is better, and I see that now. You're actually just winning a pawn. You are actually just winning a pawn after bishop f5. Sorry. Bishop f5. Because you're threatening this rook, and the rook's covering the pawn. So you win the pawn. Apparently you sack the exchange here as well. Then you grab the pawn, which is wild. But yeah, good ideas, good ideas. They take, and I really, really wanted them to take. If they take here, they fix a lot of our problems. And I quite like this for black actually, because this is a bit of an awkward pawn. The bishop's still slightly misplaced. And we have very quick pawn pushes potentially as well. So I do quite like that. Rook e7, a bit of a waste of a move really. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared to play to lock myself into the isolated pawn. So I go up, sort of hopefully covering in future. Not a good move. They misplay it. Let's trade off. Back to slight equality. Still slightly better for white. This is a mistake. Apparently rook e4, just hitting this pawn. And again, they're struggling to defend because of the knight. But then the queen covers as well, so I'm not quite sure. Let's have a look at it, actually. Queen d5. Oh, apparently you don't even do that. What? So if you were to play like a h4 or something. If you were to play like a h4 or something, there we go. What have we got? d5 as an idea. Okay, so you're going, oh, and the rook's also supporting the pawn push on d4, which would be quite nice, especially with an immediate potential d3 break. Get you, I get you, I get you. Bishop f4, way better on g5, like I said. We would have to play f6, which sort of limits our bishop a bit. They don't do it. We look to trade off the bishops as well, try simplify things. h6 is a bit of a misplaced bishop, because it potentially is even getting trapped with a g5 if I can ever work out a way to support that. We start pushing this pawn, push it again. I didn't want to trade off queens. Apparently you're throwing the check first. I don't think it matters. Still equalish. We check. This is a huge mistake. Like, you don't want to be weakening your king this much. Just retreat. I've got no way to hit it on h2. I've got no real way of hitting on g1, but there is potential of like a pin where I can get this g pawn. This is a huge mistake. As we saw, it allows for this beautiful, beautiful rook e2 move. If queen takes, you're getting mated. So it's a bishop sack. And there's no real way of blocking the threat. So you have to take the queen for the rook. And it sort of just plays itself. We were low on time. We played it solid, made our threats. They should have probably walked in, tried for some more active things with like pin ideas. I guess the rook would have been hanging in that situation, but similar sort of ideas. We look to simplify, trade off the bishop, weaken these pawns so we can win some material. Make sure there was no back rank threats as well, especially while this bishop was here. Very scary potential for back rank stuff there. Simplify, trade off, activate our last piece, the rook, win the extra pawn, keep pushing our advantage. Eventually they gave us the rook. We defended everything, kept pushing, they gave it up. And this is a quite nice mate. They didn't think I could mate in 46 seconds, but I play my bullet. I play my bullet chess. This is really nice as well. I mean, you go there, I do the same idea. Push the pawn, get rid of them, and just mate with the king and queen if I have to. But it walks into a really nice mate here. They should have taken, at which point I do potentially a similar idea. But this is really nice. I create a wall with my pawns. Absolutely deadly stuff. The king can potentially escape to d2, but when the queen comes on c1, it covers all of the escaping squares, which is absolutely beautiful. I'm very happy with that. We're now 1879, a few games off 1900. Potentially coming next week. Would be very, very exciting. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.